There are a million energies in man. What may we not become when we learn to use them all? This is the declaration of the poet, and though poetry is usually inspired by transcendental visions, and therefore more or less impressed with apparent exaggerations, nevertheless, there is in this poetic expression far more actual, practical truth than we may at first believe. How many energies there are in man, no one knows, but there are so many that even the keenest observer of human activity have found it impossible to count them all. And as most of these energies are remarkable, to say the least, and some of them so remarkable as to appear both limitless in power and numberless in possibilities, we may well wonder what man will become when he learns to use them all. When we look upon human nature in general, we may fail to see how much improvement in power and worth as compared with what we believe in the race has been in the past. And therefore we conclude that humanity will continue to remain about the same upon this planet until the end of time. But when we investigate the lives of such individuals, we come to a different conclusion. We then discover that there is evidence in thousands of human lives of a new and superior race of people, a race that will apply a much larger measure of the wonders and possibilities that exist within them. It is only a few years, not more than a quarter of a century, since modern psychology began to proclaim the new science of human thought and action, so that we have had but a short time to demonstrate what a more intelligent application of our energies and forces can accomplish. But already the evidence is coming in from all sources revealing results that frequently border upon the extraordinary. Man can do far more with himself and his life than he has been doing in the past. He can call into action and successfully apply far more ability, energy, and worth than his forefathers ever dreamed of. So much has been proven during this brief introductory period of the new age. Then what greater things may we not reasonably expect when we have had 50 or 100 years more in which to develop and apply those larger possibilities which we now know to be inherent in all of us? We have been aware of the fact for centuries that there is more in man than what appears on the surface, but it is only in recent years that a systematic effort has been made to understand the nature and practical use of this, as well as to work out better methods for the thorough and effective application of those things on the surface which we have always employed. In dealing with a subject that is so large and so new, however, it is necessary to make many statements that may at first sight appear to be unfounded or at least exaggerations. But if we thoroughly investigate the basis of such statements as we go along, we will not only find that there are no unfounded statements or exaggerations, but will wish that every strong statement made had been made many times as strong. When we go beneath the surface of human life and learn what greater things are hidden beneath the ordinary layers of mental substance and vital energy, we find man to be so wonderfully made that language is wholly inadequate to describe even a fraction of his larger and richer life. We may try to give expression to our thoughts at such times by employing the strongest statements and the most forceful adjectives that we can think of, but even these prove little better than nothing. So therefore, we may conclude that no statement that attempts to describe the more in man can possibly be too strong. Even the strongest fails to say 1,000th of what we would say should we speak the whole truth. We shall all admit this, and accordingly shall find it advisable not to pass judgment upon strong statements, but to learn to understand and apply those greater powers within ourselves that are infinitely stronger than the strongest statement that could possibly be made. Those minds who may believe that the human race is to continue weak and imperfect as usual should consider what remarkable steps in advance have recently been taken in nearly all fields of human activity. And then they should remember that the greater powers of man, as well as a scientific study of the use of his powers, have been almost wholly neglected. The question then that will naturally arise is, what man might make of himself if he would apply the same painstaking science to his own development and advancement as he now applies in other fields? If he did, would we not in another generation or two witness unmistakable evidence of the coming of a new and superior race, And would not strong men and women become far more numerous than ever before in the history of the world? Each individual will want to answer these questions according to his own point of view, but whatever his answer may be, we all must agree that man can become and achieve far more than even the most sanguine indications of the present may predict. And it is the purpose of this information to encourage as many people as possible to study and apply these greater powers within them, so they may not only become greater and richer and more worthy as individuals, but may also become the forerunners of that higher and more wonderful race of which we all have so fondly dreamed. Promise yourself to be so strong that nothing can disturb your peace of mind, to talk health, happiness, and prosperity to every person you meet, to make all your friends feel that there is something in them, to look at the sunny side of everything and make your optimism come true, to think only of the best, to work only for the best, and to expect only the best, to be just as enthusiastic about the success of others as you are about your own, to forget the mistakes of the past and press on to the greater achievements of the future, to wear a cheerful countenance at all times and give every living creature you meet a smile, to give so much time to the improvement of yourself that you have no time to criticize others, to be too large for worry, too noble for anger, too strong for fear, and too happy to permit the presence of trouble, to think well of yourself and to proclaim this fact to the world, not in loud words but in great deeds, to live in faith that the whole world is on your side so long as you are true to the best that is in you. We all want to know what we actually possess both in the physical, the mental, and the spiritual. We want to know how the elements and the forces within us can be applied in the most successful manner. It is results in practical life that we want, and we are not true to ourselves or the race until we learn to use the powers within us so effectively that the great results possible within the possibilities of human nature are secured. When we proceed with a scientific study of the subject, we find that the problem before us is to know what is in us and how to use what is in us. After much study of the powers in man, both conscious and subconscious, we have come to the conclusion that if we only knew how to use these powers, we could accomplish practically anything that we may have in view, and not only realize our wants to the fullest degree, but also even our highest goal. This may seem to be a strong statement. Nevertheless, when we examine the whole nature of man, we are compelled to admit that it is true even in the fullest sense, and that therefore not a single individual can fail to realize his wants and reach his goal after he has learned how to use the powers that are in him. This is not mere speculation, nor is it simply a beautiful dream. The more we study the lives of people who have achieved, and the more we study our own experience every day, the more convinced we become that there is no reason whatsoever why any individual should not realize all his ambitions and much more. The basis of the study will naturally be found in the understanding of the whole nature of man, as we must know what we are before we can know and use what we inherently possess. In analyzing human nature, a number of methods have been employed, but there are only 3 in particular that are of actual value for our present purpose. The first of these declare that man is composed of ego, consciousness, and form. And though this analysis is the most complete, yet it is also the most abstract and is therefore not easily understood. The second analysis, which is simpler and which is employed almost exclusively by the majority, declares that man is body, mind, and soul. But as much as this idea is thought of and spoken of, there are very few who actually understand it. In fact, the unusual conception of man as body, mind, and soul will have to be completely reversed in order to become absolutely true. The third analysis, which is the simplest and most serviceable, declares that man is composed of individuality and personality, and it is the conception of human nature that will constitute the phases of our study in this work. we shall find it profitable to examine briefly these various ideas concerning the nature of man. In fact, every part of our human analysis that refers to the ego simply must be understood if we are to learn how to use the forces we possess. And the reason for this is found in the fact that the ego is the I am, the ruling principle in man, the center and source of individuality, the originator of everything that takes place in man, and the primary something to which all other things in human nature are secondary. When the average person employs the term ego, he thinks that he is dealing with something that is hidden so deeply in the abstract that it can make but little difference whether we understand it or not. This, however, does not happen to be true, because it is the ego that must act before any action can take place anywhere in the human system. And it is the ego that must originate the new before any step in advance can be taken. In addition, it is extremely important to realize that the power of will to control the forces we possess depends directly upon how fully conscious we are of the ego as the ruling principle within us. We understand, therefore, that it is absolutely necessary to associate all thought, all feeling, and all action of mind or personality with the ego, or what we shall speak of as the I am. The first step to be taken in this connection is to recognize the I am in everything you do, and to think always of the I am as being you, the supreme you. Whenever you think, realize that it is the I am that originated the thought. Whenever you act, realize that it is the I am that gives you initiative to the action. And whenever you think of yourself or try to be conscious of yourself, realize that the I am occupies the throne of your entire field of consciousness. Another important essential is to affirm silently in your own mind that you are the I am. And as you affirm this statement, or as you simply declare positively, I am, think of the I am as being the ruling principle in your whole world, as being distinct and above the superior to all else in your being, and as being you, yourself, in the highest, largest, and most comprehensive sense. You thus lift yourself up, so to speak, to the mountaintop of masterful individuality. You enthrone yourself. You become true to yourself. You place yourself where you belong. Through this practice, you not only discover yourself to be the master of your whole life, but you elevate all your conscious actions to the lofty state in your consciousness that we may describe as the throne of your being, or as that center of action within which the ruling I am lives and moves as its being. If you wish to control and direct the forces you possess, you must act from the throne of your being, so to speak, or in other words, from that conscious point in your mental world wherein all power of control, direction, and initiative proceeds. And this point of action is the center of the I am. You must act not as a body, not as a personality, not as a mind, but as the I am. And the more fully you recognize the lofty position of I am, the greater becomes your power to control and direct all other things that you may possess. In brief, whenever you think or act, you should feel that you stand with the I am, at the apex of mentality, on the very heights of your existence, and you should at the same time realize that this I am is you, the supreme you. The more you practice these methods, the more you lift yourself up above the limitations of the mind and body, into the realization of your own true position as a masterful individual. In fact, you place yourself where you belong, over and above everything in your organized existence. When we examine the mind of the average person, we find that they usually identify themselves with mind or body. They either think that they are body or that they are mind, and therefore they can control neither mind nor body. The I am in their nature is submerged in a bundle of ideas, some of which are true and some of which are not. And their thought is usually controlled by those ideas without receiving any direction whatsoever from that principle within them that alone was intended to give them direction. Such a one lives in the lower story of human existence, but as we can control life only when we give direction from the upper story, we discover just why the average person neither understands their forces nor has the power to use them. They must first elevate themselves to the upper story of the human structure, And the first and most important step to be taken in this direction is to recognize the I am as the ruling principle, and that the I am is you. Another method that will be found highly important is to take a few moments every day and try to feel that you, the I am, are not only above the mind and body, but in a certain sense distinct from mind and body. Try to isolate the I am for a few moments every day from the rest of your organized being. This practice will give you what may be termed as a perfect consciousness of your own individual I am. And as you gain the consciousness, you will always think of your supreme I am whenever you think of yourself. Accordingly, all your mental actions will, from that time on, come directly from the I am. And if you will continue to stand above all such actions at all times, you will be able to control them and direct them completely. To examine consciousness and form in this connection is hardly necessary, except to define briefly their general nature, so that we may have a clear idea of what we are dealing with in the conscious field as well as in the field of expression. The I am is fundamentally conscious, that is, the I am knows what exists in the human field or in the human sphere and what is taking place in the human sphere, and that constitutes consciousness. In brief, you are conscious when you know that you exist and have some definite idea as to what is taking place in your sphere of existence. What we speak of as form is everything in the organized personality that has shape and that serves in any matter to give expression to the forces within us. In the exercise of consciousness, we find that the I am employs three fundamental actions. When the I am looks out upon life, we have simple consciousness. When the I am looks upon its own position in life, we have self-consciousness. And when the I am looks up into the vastness of real life, we have cosmic consciousness. In simple consciousness, you are only aware of those things that exist externally to yourself. But when you begin to become conscious of yourself as a distinct entity, you begin to develop a self-consciousness when you turn your attention to the great within and look up into the real source of all things. You become conscious of that world that seemingly exists within all worlds, and when you enter upon this experience, you are on the borderland of cosmic consciousness, the most fascinating subject that has ever been known. When we come to define body, mind, and soul, we must, as previously stated, reverse the usual definition. In the past, we have constantly used the expression, I have soul, which naturally implies the belief that I am a body, and so deeply has this idea become fixed in the average mind that nearly everybody thinks of the body whenever the term me or myself is employed. But in this attitude of mind, the individual is not above the physical states of thought and feeling. In fact, he is more or less submerged in what may be called a bundle of physical facts and ideas, of which he has very little control. You cannot control anything in your life, however, until you are above it. You cannot control what is in your body until you realize that you are above your body. You cannot control what is in your mind until you realize that you are above your mind, and therefore no one can use the forces within them to any extent so long as they think of themselves as being the body or as being localized exclusively in the body. When we examine the whole nature of man, we find that the soul is the man himself, and that the ego is the central principle of the soul. Or to use another expression, the soul, including the I am, constitutes individuality. The visible something constitutes the personality. If you wish to understand your forces and gain that masterful attitude necessary to the control of your forces, train yourself to think that you are a soul, but do not think of the soul as something vague or mysterious. Think of the soul as being the individual you and all that that expression can possibly imply. Train yourself to think that you are a master of mind and body, because you are above mind and body and possess the power to use everything that is in mind and body. Man is ever in search of strength. It is the strong man that wins. It is the man with power that scales the heights. To be strong is to be great, and it is the privilege of greatness to satisfy every desire, every aspiration, every need. But strength is not for the few alone, it is for all. And the way to strength is simple. Proceed this very moment to the mountaintops of strength you now possess, and whatever may happen, do not come down. Do not weaken under adversity. Resolve to remain as strong, as determined, and as highly enthused during the darkest night of the adversity as you are during the sunniest day of prosperity. Do not feel disappointed when things seem disappointing. Keep the eye single upon the same brilliant future regardless of the circumstances, conditions, or events. Do not lose heart when things go wrong. Continue undisturbed in your original resolve to make all things go right. To be overcome by adversary and threatening failure is to lose strength. To always remain in the same lofty, determined mood is to constantly grow in strength. The man who never weakens when things are against him will grow stronger and stronger until all things will delight to be for him. He will finally have all the strength he may desire or need. Be always strong, and you will always be stronger.